These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. How the fuck's that even happen? Two grown men on a mission now, so buckle up and just strap in.
There's always room here for the lonely to watch your broken dreams dancing out of the beams of a neon moon.
These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. It's America's barley basket.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 42 of America's Barley Basket. I am sitting beside, virtually, our host, Marlin Wells. Hello, Marlin.
Hello, Nathan. That's Nathan Folsabach. You forgot to intro yourself, as you usually do.
I'm a selfless podcaster.
Is that it? Is it the altruism? Or are you forgetful and shit?
I may be a little of both.
Mm-hmm. I'll never tell.
What a little stinker.
Oh,
well, that's right. Here we are on the internet, broadcasting everywhere pretty much. Do you think you could listen to us on the moon if you wanted to?
Probably. I don't see why not.
Why not? Yeah. If we have any astronauts listening, or if you're on the space station, not nearly as cool as the moon, but we got to start somewhere.
I like the idea that someone who is so smart that they can be an astronaut being interested in this dumb show.
Yeah. And hearing us talk down to them for only being on the space station.
Right.
It just seems like you're settling for less.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I struggle to get above land. I struggle to crawl out of the basement on a daily basis, and here I am.
Criticizing someone for what you see as aiming for the middle.
Yeah. You can see the moon. It's right there. Fucking put that space station into drive and get her done. I'm picturing driving a space station like driving a school bus. First off, why do I think you can drive it?
Right. Not how it works, I don't think.
Just put it, you'll hear that beep and backing up noise, and you put it in drive and you just coast towards the moon.
Oh, just give me a sec, guys. I'm just going to hop over here quick.
Man, could we not have used a moon mission during quarantine just to fucking give us something to fucking think about?
Yeah, I can only watch so many of Elon's rockets blow up
man.
Before it quells my taste for space exploration and the excitement that comes with it.
Fucking, I think we still got Buzz Aldrin. He's still alive. Put his head inside a giant robot baby Krang body.
Okay.
And fucking get him to the moon. He knows what he's doing. He's been there before.
And round two, Buzz. Here we go.
I think he's kind of full of beans. He'd probably be all for it.
He probably would, yeah. He's a spicy old man.
It's like, I got a bench vise and a hacksaw. I'll lop my head off right now. No, Buzz, no. we have to have the magic jar ready. Keep that head alive.
God damn it, Buzz. Somebody corral him.
Yeah. He is a spicy tamale.
Buzz is ready to go. As are we. We have Simpsons to be talking today. I was about to say this afternoon, but I don't know when you're listening to this. So
that's good because I've been watching The Simpsons. I don't know if you have been, but I've been knocking some of these episodes out.
Putting in some time.
Yeah.
We are into season 10 now. We have first one out the gate, episode number 4. Always a treat for our Treehouse of Horror episode every year, which I always look forward to. This one, maybe not the best.
Oh, see, I thought this was at least up to the standards of some of the previous ones, but yeah. But what I've noticed in our this will be our 9th Treehouse of Terror
horror
is
still
horror.
Still
is
horror.
It really? Goddamn! I have terror written down. I'm pretty sure I copy and paste this. I think someone with Wikipedia is doing a deep dive fuck with me.
Every time we do one of these, I'm like, which is it going to be? Is he going to get it?
I would say around like season 6 and 7, I think I was on the righteous path and getting it right. But I think there's been a couple terrors the last few times.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like it's about 50. Well, it's about 70-30 at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm just a slave to alliteration, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
Yeah, we're not going to hold it against you.
But what I was going to mention, I think the Treehouse of Terror, more than any one, boy, it is results may vary because it's to each their own. It kind of seems like. I think it's just kind of if you appreciate the horror movie itch that they're scratching for you.
Yeah,
there's a lot of it.
Yeah, it kind of. I like the ones that are super referential, where it's like, oh, we're clearly just doing Poltergeist. I feel like for me anyway, I feel like when the Treehouse of Horror tries to be overly original is when it falls flat on its face most often. Mm-hmm. Looking at my notes here for this one, I was maybe a little harsh in saying that this wasn't a very good one, but there is one of these three that I did not like at all, so we'll get to it here.
Well, I am interested to know which one that is.
As per usual, 3 short stories all crammed into one episode of The Simpsons. The first of which being Hell to Pay, which I didn't get the joke until...
I saw it in print right now.
I was like, I get it.
I see what you did there.
Snake is in the Quickie Mart buying a comb and lights up a smoke and is arrested for smoking in the Quickie Mart. And Moe and Apu and Bart are witnesses to this crime. And because it's his third strike, he is executed live in front of a studio audience on television, which is spicy.
I do find it off-putting to see Moe in anything but his apron or a tuxedo. Like he was just wearing like random business casual wear. It's like,
just everyday clothes. You don't like it?
Looking for a breakfast cereal for people with syphilis.
Which he does get, we see later in the episode.
He does, Penicillos, I think they're called.
Yep. So Snake executed in the chair on television. Homer is getting a hair transplant, and he gets the phone call that they got a donor, and it, of course, is Snake's hair. And Homer looking good with a head full of hair.
Yeah.
Got a real confidence to him.
Kind of like, like a early 80s middle-aged businessman hairstyle. Like, it's got the side part. It's still kind of, he's got the fluff. It's got a little bit of depth and texture. So, yeah, he's pulling it off.
Yeah, it's well coiffed.
There's a good word.
But the hair, of course, possesses Homer in an idle hands type situation.
So you thought of Idle Hands. That was the late 90s kind of like fun teen horror with
Jessica
Devon
Alba.
Sawa.
Yep, and
Jessica
I believe
Alba.
Devon Sawa.
I referenced the early 90s horror movie called, I believe, Body Parts, which is like straight horror. And it's one of the movies I think of when I hear any kind of horror movie historian / nerd talk about the dearth of horror movies in the early to mid 90s.
Huh.
Because I remember seeing that in the rental store when I was a kid. I'm pretty sure the premise is lunatic is killed, he's parted out, and someone gets in one of his arms, and the arm has murderous intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not me, it's the arm. Yeah.
Yep. I've only seen bits and pieces of that, but it's definitely not played for laughs at all. It's a very serious, and I think it even went to theaters, but it could not have lived a long life because
I've never heard of it. Granted, I'm not some fucking expert, but I've never heard of it.
And if horror movies have even a bit of success, they live on forever because horror movie fans are fucking loyal.
Yeah. But the hair has possessed Homer, and it makes him kill Apu, and then makes him kill Moe, and the next one going to be Bart, of course, killing all 3 of the witnesses. It's weird to hear Snake's voice come out of Homer.
Yeah.
Like, you have Snake's hair and Snake's voice on Homer's body, so it almost feels like a totally different character. Because it doesn't look like Homer, and it doesn't sound like Homer. It was strange, but I like the choice of trying to kill Bart with a goddamn sledgehammer. Yeah,
that is not the right weapon of choice to kill somebody in a cramped bedroom.
No,
you need room to operate with a sledge.
That's an unwieldy weapon.
Yeah, not meant for moving targets.
Yeah, not. He rolled high in strength and low in dexterity, so he went with the warhammer.
Yeah.
So he's trying to kill Bart, but Bart's telling him, to fight it off, and Homer fights off the influence of Snake's hair and rips off the hair and throws it aside, and Springfield's finest bust into Bart's room where this is all happening and gun down the toupee.
Yeah, that was a good visual. There's a lot of good visuals in this one. I like Moe's death in the cereal. I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, he gets does he hit him with something? And then his face falls in the bowl of penicillos.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I wasn't super hilarious. Didn't have a lot of good references, but I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, that one.
Maybe I'm just
had no beef with. The second one I also liked, The Terror of Tiny Toon. The kids are sitting down to watch the Itchy and Scratchy Halloween special, which Krusty proclaims at the top is going to be like the most horrific, violent, fuck you up thing that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And Marge forbids it. She's not into this, and takes the batteries out of the remote and puts them in her purse so the kids can't watch it. My thought immediately was, like, I'm pretty sure the kids can find batteries. Like, what a weird parental move.
Or in 1998, you could still just use the channel button on the TV.
Oh, right. Yeah. Just turn the dial.
Yeah.
So Marge takes the batteries. The kids find, I think, among Homer's things or in a junk drawer, a tiny plutonium rod that's glowing. And Bart just hammers it into the battery space.
Do you ever
in the
get
back
sick
of
of being wrong, Lisa?
And the plutonium remote control sucks them into the television, and they find themselves trapped in the Itchy and Scratchy cartoon. The cartoon is going on, and then they're kind of off to the side just watching, and the mouse fucking cuts the cat's head off, and the kids are laughing, and then the mouse and cat are both offended at how hurtful that is, that the kids are laughing at Scratchy's pain, being like, well, that's not very cool at all, what the hell? And they take after the kids. There's a chase scene where they're chasing the kids down, and we get a Poochie sighting. Poochie is in this cartoon, apparently, and immediately gets hit by the car they're driving.
Yeah. That was a nice touch.
He gets out one, hey, I'm Poochie. Bang, gone out of the thing. I thought it was fun to see him.
Yep.
I literally put in my notes my exact reaction, which was Poochie! Exclamation point.
Yep, same here.
Homer, back in the real world, not stuck in the TV, changes the channel to Regis and Kathy Lee, which I had completely forgotten about.
The timing, and then them hitting that pot of whatever they're cooking.
Yeah, they're doing a kitchen segment, and the kids fall from above and land in the pot. Good live action animation crossover work done here, which I imagine is real hard to do.
Mm-hmm. And they played it off well. Regis and Kathy did. And yeah, you're right. I kind of forget. Regis and Kathy Lee were on for 20 years.
Yeah.
Before Kathy Lee finally bowed out. And then, it was Regis and Kelly, I think. And now it's Regis and Michael Strahan, maybe?
Kelly and Michael. It's Kelly and Michael Strahan now, I think.
And now is it Kelly and Ryan Seacrest?
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
I think Strahan's gone now, yeah.
Yeah, because he's on the ABC version of that, isn't he? He's on,
or he might be on Their Good Morning America.
That's it. He's on with Stephanopoulos. Yeah. Michael Strahan, man, turned out to be a good friend. Turned out to be a man of many talents.
Yeah, no kidding. Huh? Who saw this coming from him? Who sees that coming from anybody? Going to be a vicious defensive end, one of the best in the league, and you're going to parlay that into a morning show career.
It turns out you're good at this weird midday schmooze hosting,
and that's a skill, man. Yeah. There's people that make decades long careers out of it. Yeah,
but then is also really good as a football analyst on Fox. It's wild to see what kind of things he's good at.
I had a good friend in college that he thought Kelly Ripa was the most attractive woman he's ever seen.
Oh, really?
I always think about that whenever I see her on TV. I mean, she is a good-looking woman.
She is attractive, yeah.
Yeah, but like the best, that's like fascinating. I don't like. First off, I don't think I have a best. I don't have like a Hot 100 marker board chart in my bedroom that I update.
That you update all the time.
Hottest babes.
Oh yeah.
As of the week of March 13th, 2021.
Oh, these latest photos of fucking Kathy Ireland aren't great. She's fallen in this week's
Romaine.
She's fallen in this week's power rankings.
For 25 years, I've said Kathy Ireland is a timeless classic, but I'm starting to wonder as she approaches her late 60s.
Why? I don't know why that's the name that came out of my brain. Kathy Ireland has not been,
it makes sense,
like a relevant hottie since like 2000.
But she was very relevant when I was just coming of age because she was like the queen of Sports Illustrated. Yeah, I don't even. Does she go to 2000 even? I always think of her as more early mid 90s.
Yeah, like she would be like a hot surprise guest star on the FX comedy Son of the Beach. You know, like this week, Kathy Ireland.
Holy, I forgot about Son of a Beach.
So did everyone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, she definitely came from that era, that like Maxim FHM era.
Yeah, she was also in the football comedy Necessary Roughness. Pretty sure Kathy Ireland plays the kicker.
Oh, I think you're right.
I think Scott Bakula is the over-the-hill quarterback.
Yeah, he is.
Sinbad is the sassy offensive lineman.
Yeah, he is.
Man, yeah, that's.
I always thought
there's some other.
I always thought Necessary Roughness was just great value longest yard.
Yeah, even though it does predate. Well, no, it doesn't predate the original
Not
Longest
the original,
Yard,
no.
but yeah, I've never seen the original with the Burt Reynolds one.
It's good. I think both the original and the remake are perfectly fine movies.
Oh, really? The remake too?
Yeah, they're both fine.
I'm at a point now where we're going on 20 years of Adam Sandler hatred that I'm like in his corner. You know what? I like Big Daddy. You know?
Oh, sure. There's a handful of Adam Sandler movies I'll fight tooth and nail over, but
The Waterboy has its moments.
Yeah, Waterboy's fun. Big
Little
Daddy's
Nicky
fun.
has like 2 moments, but they're both very funny.
I think that I like Little Nicky more than the average bear.
Yeah. Because that one really got reviled. And I think it was maybe the first one that wasn't a smash hit, too, of his comedies.
I think that was the first one where everyone was like, oh, not everything he touches is gold.
Yep.
Okay.
This Mr. Deeds was the first of the Happy Madison or whatever, his production company, of those style of movies where I was like, oh, man, I can't.
Yeah,
I think I'm tapping out.
I think Mr. Deeds was the first one I was on the fence about, too.
It's like, yeah, because I love dumb, raunchy comedy, but that one was like, ugh, there ain't enough to keep me here, man.
Yeah, there's not enough John Turturro in that movie for me to love it.
Yep. Yeah, and his parts are the best parts, yeah.
Yeah, and Steve Buscemi is good.
Yeah, with the crazy eyes, yeah.
But, yeah, there's a lot of Adam Sandler that I will not go to bat for at all.
Yeah, and I really like Big Daddy. I think that's a fun, well done movie.
Yeah, Big Daddy. I got no beef with Big Daddy.
Yeah. For
someone who doesn't like kids, I usually don't like movies that prominently feature a child. But
yeah, that one really does. You're right. Yeah. It's especially baffling for somebody my age, because I am the right age to be an Adam Sandler fan. I don't know if I've ever seen Happy Gilmore all the way through.
Oh yeah, that's the one that I think is the best one. Like if you made me pick one of those early model, these were all good Adam Sandler movies. It's Happy Gilmore for sure.
I'd probably go Big Daddy with Wedding Singer next.
That's a forgotten one, that I also enjoy.
And that movie's almost unique enough that it doesn't feel like, but it is definitely a Happy Madison production because all of his buddies are in it, you know.
Yeah, the whole Grandma's Boy crew, the Adam Sandler bench players are in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is the nice thing about Grandma's Boy is the fact that one of the longtime background players got to star, and he does fine.
Yeah,
he
that movie's fine.
Role.
I don't have any problem
that
with
movie's
that
got
movie.
some laughs in it, damn right. Yeah.
Yeah, it features an extended Dance Dance Revolution sequence, so I'm pretty into it.
Which is well done. Yeah, some of Nick Swartzen's finest film work, I would say. He's got some great scenes in that movie.
As somebody who usually runs pretty cold on Nick Swartzen, that was good. Yeah. Outside of his Reno 911 work.
Oh my God, yeah. He knocks that out of the park so much. when he's given was it $4 hand jobs outside of tacos, and they point out that the hand jobs are cheaper than the tacos lunch special, and his way of rationalizing, but the hand jobs don't come with a free fountain beverage. Yeah, you got us there.
I love that show. That show gets short shrift among.
Hey, it's funny we're talking about this because I downloaded the CBS All Access app to watch the Super Bowl. Still haven't deleted it because I'm lazy, but I noticed Reno 911 is on there, and I'm knocking out the last season that was on Comedy Central because I never did see that one when it was on.
Neither did I.
And it holds up, man. It's weird. The cast is way different. It's like Jolo Toturno, I don't think I'm pronouncing his name right. He is a major player. One of the guys from Upright Citizens Brigade is a major player. And the blonde-haired actress is gone. And another, the more racist cop with the mustache is gone. So it's a different crowd. Like, I mean, you still have Dangle, you still have Trudy Wagle, you have Junior. You got
Cedric Yarborough is still there.
Yep, Cedric, and Niecy Nash is still there.
Yeah, Thomas Lennon is just fucking delightful. I love that fella.
I've always been told I should read the book that him and the guy that plays Junior wrote about how they inadvertently wrote a smash hit family movie. They wrote Night at the Museum.
Oh, really?
And it's just them talking about like their making that movie and writing it, and then also like their introduction to working with the giant, Hollywood machine. Because before they're on basic cable, so they were kind of left to their own devices. Just what it's like to work on a movie of that magnitude, like.
God, that's gotta be wild.
A million different suits have to sign off on everything, and a million different notes from people that are in no position to give you creative feedback to begin with.
But have a million opinions on what you should be doing.
Yep.
Boy, I don't know how we got there. I think Kathy Ireland had something to do with it.
Yeah. Every once in a while, a guy gets fogged over by lusty thoughts of Kathy Ireland.
And you end up at Thomas Lennon. Yeah, the usual. Yep.
12-year-old me just torquing hard, picturing what I roughly think sex is, because back then you only had a vague recollection. Because you rarely ever saw real deal sex in the early 90s. So I think this is how our parts line up, and I'm picturing that's how we're going to be doing it right now.
It's like in Jurassic Park. You've got the broken strand, and you're filling it in with the frog DNA that is animal humping that you've seen in your young life.
At that point, I am not fully grown, so she's taller than me. Nothing's going to add up here.
After the Regis and Kathy Lee bit, the kids do get out of the TV, but Itchy and Scratchy are hot on their heels. They climb out of the TV as well, and immediately just get wrapped. I forget what happens to the mouse. I didn't write it down, but Scratchy the cat, Marge immediately picks up and is like, "Well, you need to be neutered." Like now they're their pets.
They put the cat in like a hamster cage.
They put the mouse. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they immediately become the Simpsons' new pets.
Yeah. Another nice visual gag was Bart getting shot with that piranha gun, and it just eats his body, except his head.
The piranha fire hose.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
And then they use the magic remote to rewind, and it goes in reverse and puts his body back on his bones. Yeah, that was good. Mm-hmm. It is the third one that did nothing for me, which is called Starship Poopers.
What does that even mean?
I guess Maggie
has a
diaper. Starship Troopers, by the way, being one of those things that people love, and I think I need to go back to, because I only saw Starship Troopers back before I knew what satire was, and I just thought it was a shitty sci-fi movie.
And I love big sci-fi action bug hunt movies. And yeah, I'm like you. I could stand to watch it all the way through with clear eyes, like.
Yeah, I could stand to go back to that. Like, I've done that with RoboCop because I also saw RoboCop before I knew what satire was. And then coming back to it now, it's way different. It's like, oh, yeah,
Man.
no. Like, I liked RoboCop to begin with. I love RoboCop these days.
RoboCop goes hard in the paint. RoboCop is all about three the hard way. They are the hoop and the hard. They're not no floaters, no pull-up jumpers. We're taking it right to the rim.
Yep. We're working the post. We got a spin move that we got figured out, and we're taking it hard.
When Kirkwood Smith walks into, is it Miguel Ferrer's penthouse and goes, "Bitches leave." Yep. That is just rude. You don't know these women. Bitch, just how he says it. Bitches leave. And they do. They know. He is not there to party with them.
I
think
one of my favorite. Go ahead.
Oh, maybe I've told this story before. It's the same friend that thought that Kelly Ripa is the most attractive woman on the planet. His family got a VCR in 1985 or 86 when it was a big effing
early
deal.
adopters.
They were $1,200 in 1985 money, which is $7,000. And it was so early, there was nowhere to even rent movies in my hometown yet. So they had to do this subscription rental service out of a place in Minot where you told them what you wanted. And every 2 weeks you'd get a box in the mail with 5 movies. It was like a proto Netflix 25 years ahead of time, sending movies through the mail. But it was always a collection. It was 2 family movies, a drama, a comedy, and an action movie. And the first batch they had, they watched RoboCop was in there. They sat down, the whole family, and they were ages 3, 6, and 10, and then the parents. And they had to beg their dad not to return the VCR because he was so disgusted by how violent RoboCop was. Because I don't know, but they're not a big movie family, which is weird. They have a VCR. I don't think he knew they were making shit like that. Because when that was a new release, the 80s, you watch an 80s action movie, it just hits different. It changed in the 90s. You really see it even in Pulp Fiction. People get shot, but you don't see the bodies getting shot like you did in the 80s.
Right. RoboCop in particular, that scene where Murphy gets fucking killed is still shocking today.
Yeah, there is no creative editing. It's snuff film style.
And that scene goes on too long.
Yeah,
holy shit, Verhoeven, what are you doing?
Yeah, and then the guy getting the toxic waste dumped on him, and he get all gnarly from. Then he gets hit by a car and he blows up like
a tick. Yeah, that was. God, that movie rules.
Yeah, and what I've been told, the sequel's not worth a shit. Is that kind of the story with RoboCop?
Yeah, the RoboCop franchise just gets worse. Two is bad, but enjoyable bad.
Okay, I can see that.
And 3 is unwatchable garbage.
Yeah. Isn't 3 historically bad?
Yes.
It's ranks in the pantheon of worst sequels.
Yeah, it's up there with Ishtar. It's just fuck, this is unwatchable. It's woof. 2 is kind of fun because the bad guy in 2 is a 10-year-old kid who's a new Detroit drug kingpin.
Interesting.
Who has his own RoboCop that he's fills full of fucking drugs and sends him after RoboCop.
2, really?
2's good bad and 3's bad.
Yeah. Oh, nothing's worse than when something's bad.
Yeah.
Because usually you've already emotionally prepared yourself that it might suck, but you can get some fun out of it. But oof, yeah, when you can't eat, when it's nothing's worse than boring bad movies. It's God damn it,
RoboCop 2 I love a good fake name of a drug. A drug that isn't real, but we need to name this fictional drug in this piece of fiction. The drug that kid is the kingpin of is Nuke, which is such a good fake drug name.
Yeah. I'd like to see a collection of fake drug names. I'm trying to think of the one from Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. is it Liquid Ice or Liquid Dream or something like that?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's the hot new drug on the streets. Yeah.
Fucking Valkyr in the Max Payne movie is a pretty good one. I really love my favorite part of RoboCop 1, and I don't know why, but it makes me giggle every time. And it's something where if I was not someone who lived exclusively with his phone on vibrate, I would want it as my text tone and my email tone and every noise that my phone makes. But when they're building RoboCop and it's all from first-person perspective, and Miguel Ferrer pokes his fucking head in and just goes, "You're gonna be one bad motherfucker," that kills me every time. Something about Dick Jones's delivery on that. Just, "You're gonna be one bad motherfucker." Hell yes. I love Miguel Ferrer in that coked-up executive role.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He's a guy that should get better roles.
Exactly. To me, growing up in the era that I did, he's the bad guy from Disney's Blank Check is who he'll always be to me.
God, yeah, I always find it fascinating, actors like that just find a way to make their house payments, you know? Like, they get work. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But they're going to do a good job no matter what. And, see them again next, in 6 months from now when they have another role in a marginal movie.
Yeah, it's always great to see where Miguel Ferrer pops up. He's in Iron Man 3 for about 40 seconds. Enough for you to go, "That's my fucking Dick Jones. Look at this."
Hey! Yeah.
And he's gone. Okay.
Oh. I had to look it up. The drug in Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, is Crystal Dream.
Ooh,
it's Crystal Dream.
That's a good drug name.
It's 100% addictive and causes lasting neurological damage and eventually death. So they should leave that off the advertising.
There's a drug in the Adult Swim series Metalocalypse called Sweet Alabama Liquid Snake, which is a real good one.
That is good.
And one of those that's great in its simplicity, the Elder Scroll video games, there's one called Skooma, which is pretty solid.
Yeah. That's got a mysterious vibe to it that I can see kids wanting to get involved in.
Yeah, like I would listen if someone's like, "Hey, do you want to do some skooma?" I would have questions. I'd be like,
"Yeah,
I'm not saying yes, but tell me more."
Yep, you're just pensively looking into the distance. How does one take it?
So we're talking about Starship Poopers, the third and final of this Treehouse of Horror series. Maggie is teething and has just one sharp tooth, which I thought was a fun visual. Yeah, just one wolf fang growing out of the middle of her mouth. And then her legs fall off, and the family is weirdly nonplussed by this. Or Homer, anyway.
Maybe the biggest laugh I got out of this episode was, "Look, Marge, Maggie lost her baby legs."
Yeah.
Like, how excited, like it's this wonderful milestone.
Yeah, like something for the photo album. This is a big day. So she has the familiar octopus tentacles of the Simpsons aliens. She's crawling around on the roof or the ceiling. We get to see that Kang, it turns out, is Maggie's dad and is headed to Earth. It bothers me that his name is Kang because for me, Kang is Kang from Marvel Comics.
Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah. So every time they say Kang, I'm like, "You ain't fucking Kang. Get out of here."
Has Kang ever been featured in any of the Marvel movies?
He's going to be. I think he's the bad guy in... Oh, man, I don't want to get this wrong because I got buddies that are going to fucking text me all week if I get it wrong. Is it the Eternals? Like one of the upcoming ones, he's been announced as he's going to be the bad guy in it.
Yeah. That's the kind of things I like when the OG Marvel bad guys get featured, because those are the ones I remember.
Yeah, Ant-Man 3. He's reportedly the bad guy in Ant-Man 3.
Oh, never seen an Ant-Man movie.
They're fine.
They're fun.
Yeah,
they're all fine.
Yeah, they're probably like my least favorite out of the Marvel stuff.
And
but they're fine.
I'm 40 years behind in my comic book knowledge. I didn't know that Ant-Man wasn't Henry Pym anymore. Because in my head, like, Ant-Man was some of the more compelling stories in Marvel Comics because he was struggling with alcohol and he was abusive marriage. His marriage is falling apart. He tried to win back the trust of the Avengers, but then he inadvertently gets Ultron involved. It's like, yeah, man, Ant-Man there's some depth, there's some sadness with Ant-Man, but now he's like cracking wise. He's like a fucking cat burglar or something.
Yeah,
it's
now it's Paul Rudd's Scott Lang who's the Ant-Man in the movies. Which I'm sure was a choice on Marvel's part of like, hey, we don't want to make a Hank Pym Ant-Man movie and then have kids go, this is great, and then start buying Hank Pym Ant-Man comics and be like, oh, this guy's a huge piece of shit, actually. Yeah. Boy, we went on a several-year run of Marvel Comics where Hank Pym just beats his wife all the time. I'm assuming that was a conscious decision on their part.
It was, that was some of the little realism you got in those 70s Avengers storylines. Like, whoof, man, Hank needs help.
Like the Tony Stark demon in a bottle storylines where he's battling his alcoholism are like good and still good in retrospect. But then, some of the Hank Pym stuff, you're like, you're not as forgivable as Tony is. Yeah.
I have one of the comics from that era where it's Tony Stark in front of his own tombstone. It's one of my favorite comic book covers.
Oh, okay.
Like if Tony Stark drinks tonight, he won't wake up tomorrow. I can't remember what the text. I'm probably butchering that, but I always loved the look of that comic book cover.
Yeah, that's got to be from that run, I'm sure.
Yeah, somewhere in the mid '80s, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. I like a good comic book. That's a hot take. Who'd have seen that coming? I haven't read anything in a while. It's like, God, I miss comics. Good comics are such fun reads.
I haven't read anything new in a good long while, but I have been getting back into reading comics a bunch these days.
Oh, really?
I got so Marvel has an app like that you pay a subscription fee, and it's just like, here's not all, but most of everything Marvel's ever done. Go ahead and read it on your iPad. And
interesting.
So I've been getting a ton of good reading done.
Knocking it out. Well done.
Yeah, so I also enjoy a lot of comics. Tried to get my hands on a new Usagi Yojimbo that Stan Sakai put out that I was not quick enough on the buy button.
Yeah, I've been trying to diversify my sports card collecting addiction into comic books. I've been trying to get a good price on a first Moon Knight appearance.
Oh.
I think it's in like issue 34 of Werewolf by Night. Is there some one of those random 70s Marvel titles that makes no sense? But.
Yeah, I forget that character's name, that werewolf. But yes, Jack something, I think, was his name.
I think it is Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think is the name of that comic. And then, there's a Wolf Knight, Moon Knight storyline in his first appearance.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke going to be in Moon Knight.
Yeah, and the guy
TV
that...
series.
I can't think of the actor, but the guy that's... he's in the newer Star Wars movies. Isn't he going to be Moon Knight?
Oh, I'm not sure.
But we are really mastering the segues.
Killing it. So other Kang heads to Earth. We get a flashback to Marge being abducted and fertilized with a gun. That's apparently how it works with that species. By Kang.
It's very quick.
Yep. So it turns out Kang is actually Maggie's dad, and they settle this in the only way the 90s knew how, and this is where it super lost me, is they go on Springer, and I fucking hate Springer and all the Springer pretenders that came after him. I hate that mid-90s, midday fucking Maury Povich fucking... hollering and fighting midday TV. Ugh.
The only one that I got any enjoyment out of was Jenny Jones. Jenny Jones's talk show was, I think, the only one that they didn't seem in on the joke. Like Jerry Springer just became parody. It was silly. those people went on that show to act like animals. Something about Jenny Jones. Well, Jenny Jones is the one where someone killed somebody that was on the show with them.
Jesus.
Like it just, yeah, it was like, the whole thing was like, I think the theme was like, I'm gay and I'm secretly in love with you. And like this guy like got and it was all like gotcha. Like they thought they're on there to talk about something different. It's like, well, actually, I am here to tell you I am in love with you. And this straight dude did not take it well, and he ended up murdering that guy, I think, is the backstory there. So yeah. Well, Jenny Jones I don't think it took him off the air, but I think they had to pause for a while. Like there was just something eerie about Jenny Jones all the whole time that was with that show. Like they never felt like the true believers were on Jenny Jones.
Good stuff, humanity.
Boy, that was some lowest common denominator TV at that time too. Like,
all that midday shit is just garbage. Yeah. Ugh. So they go on Springer, and what happens on Springer happens. They all just fight in the crowd. I think Kang like evaporates some woman who had a question.
And then just most of the crowd gets evaporated at some point, I think.
Yeah. And Jerry gives his final thoughts, and that's it. And then we have everyone in the backyard. Kang, like, threatens that, like, if you don't give Maggie back, we'll go kill all of the politicians. And the Simpsons kind of shrug and go, okay, go for it. And the aliens fly away, presumably to do just that. And then that's kind of the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I thought easily the weakest of the three. I was not into that one at all. But a lot of that is due to how much I fucking can't stand that Jerry Springer shit.
Yeah, and just wasn't a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, like I'm at a point now where I'm getting kind of pessimistic at times, but I was like, well, this was tolerable. Like,
as a whole, that Treehouse, not bad. I did really like the Stuck in the TV one.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed the hairpiece one. There's some good visuals and stuff.
And it's fun to see Snake. We don't see Snake all that often, so.
Yeah, very good point, yeah. So we're up to episode number 5, When You Dish Upon a Star. So the starts with a great dream sequence where it's Bart and Homer are Yogi and Boo Boo, and poor Ranger Ned gets brutally mauled by Yogi Homer.
Yep.
They sadly woken up from that dream because the kids were promised a trip to the lake, and it's 4 a.m. They want to get on the road. Was going to the lake a part of your childhood? Like, how
Absolutely
far?
Not.
How far would you have had to drive in any direction to get to a recreational lake?
You could have gotten to probably the Raleigh Reservoir, a man-made reservoir lake, but there was no funny business there. That's where you went to fish and nothing else. The only, like, I don't know what you would call it, but like party lake that I would have even heard of would have been like Lake Chida, which is, I don't even know, 4 hours from where I grew up?
Jesus Christ.
I'm sure I'm missing some, but I can't think of any other one that would have been what I think of as a party lake. Yeah, like I'm sure there probably were lakes, but they had to like drain them to feed goats to stop the goat parching of 1904. Like maybe you could have. No, I was trying to excuse Raleigh Reservoir, which was only a half hour away, being like, you could have fun there, but no, you couldn't, because it was just it was just angry dads fishing, and that's it. Like that's the only. Like if you'd have showed up there with a jet ski, they'd have set that jet ski on fire. It'll scare the fish. Get out of here. Fish hate children's laughter. They thrive off children's tears. Those were some healthy ass fish then when I was fishing there. Like developed upper bodies. Like Charlie Tuna. There was certainly no fun being had there when I was a youth fishing at Raleigh Reservoir. But yeah, if you'd have had any fun there, you'd have been run off. No, really. Yeah, same North Dakota, different worlds, I guess. Because I was
tits deep in lakes. That was like a common thing. If like my mom was just sick of us, like just, I don't know, being animals in the front yard or running around, figured we wanted something different to look at, she'd take us to the lake, just let us run. We had probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 different lakes that had public beaches. Just she'd bring a book, throw out a quilt, sit in the sand and read, get some sun, while we would just act like animals and throw handfuls of rotten seaweed at each other. Whatever kids do at a lake. So yeah, that was a big part of my childhood, was laking it up.
What a different world. I was probably 31 the first time I went to a lake.
That is wild, yeah.
But it doesn't really hold any value for me because I don't like mosquitoes or people, and I can't swim, so the lake doesn't hold a lot for me.
Yeah, so man, yeah, that's one thing. My folks, they were on point. My mom always said, she's like, I hated not knowing how to swim, so as soon as you guys were old enough, you're going to take swimming lessons. So kudos, shout out to Levon, getting me swimming at a young age. I guess maybe your mom had the same thoughts, but she didn't want to have to take a 9-hour round trip drive every day.
Well, I took swimming lessons as a kid when I was in grade school, but I failed the entry level 2 years in a row and just never went back.
Fascinating.
I just can't swim.
Yeah. Should we maybe do that? That's something you and I should work on. That could be some Patreon, is having a short documentary about almost like a breakthrough moment. No. You're grabbing on. No, touch, tickle. We talked about this. Arms out.
Buddy, you would just be the latest in a long line of people in my life to be like, no, I'll get you. I'll teach you to swim. I had a buddy had to physically pull me from the pool in high school on a school trip because I was going to die. But he was convinced that he was going to be the one to teach me. No, you're not.
Who was the Helen Keller teacher, the miracle worker woman?
I have no idea what you're talking
Anne
about.
Sullivan? I think Anne Sullivan, is that right? Listeners, please let me know if I'm wrong. Never heard of Helen Keller? She was the one that was deaf and blind?
I've heard of her, but I don't know her backstory. I don't know Helen Keller's origin story.
Oh, really? Yeah, they made a play about it. I think it was called The Miracle Worker. I think her name was Anne Sullivan, was the teacher. I don't know what the fuck they taught Helen Keller to do, tap dance or something. It's they figured out a way to make her entertaining. It's probably some cruel way if we look at it now in 2021 vision.
Yeah, I've never come across my Anne Sullivan.
That's yet. I mean, because
it would be as possible for me to go outside and fly as it would for me to swim.
Yeah, it's so weird. When you've learned to swim at such a young age, I can't remember what it's like to be afraid. And I remember being a little kid, I could vaguely remember that. I don't want to. That's the deep end, but I can't. That's like a primal fear that we have if we don't know how to swim. Because that's why people can end up swimming in 6 feet of water, even though they're 6 feet tall. It's because they panic. It's if you weren't panicking, you could just bounce up and down on your feet and just head up, breathe, under, head up, breathe, go under. You can't do that because you're losing your fucking mind, so you're just thrashing and inhaling water.
Yeah, man. This conversation is making my palms sweat.
Ooh.
I can't do swimming. I remember those swimming lessons. I couldn't float. Just lay back and float. And there I am just thrashing, fucking sucking in chlorine. Nope, I can't do it.
Got my 23andMe back. I am 3/4 German, 1/4 cinder block. So this explains some.
I react to water the same way a cat does. If you toss him in the bath, it is just thrash and scream and hope someone's going to get me out of here.
Yeah. The shower times are always an adventure.
Every shower is a waterboard.
Yeah. You starting at the far end of the tub so the shower doesn't directly hit you.
Easy,
one
inch
toe
by
in.
inch.
Yeah, one toe in, right back out.
I don't like it. Takes me a
2.5
long time
hours
to get
later.
ready.
Yep. I think he almost got his hair wet this time.
Yeah, not my jam.
So the Simpson kids, they do take to water because they are all about that lake life. We get a lot of horsing around. Water and horseplay go hand in hand, which, looking at it, like, might not be the best place for horseplay.
Yeah.
Because tragedies can and do happen in the water.
Seems dangerous.
Yeah. While Homer is messing around, he stumbles upon a very nice lake home that ends up belonging to Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin.
Who were apparently married at the time? I didn't know those two were married.
Yeah. And I noticed too, they're really talking about Kim Basinger's Academy Award, which I forgot she won, I think, a Best Supporting Actress for L.A. Confidential, which,
sure.
Anyone hasn't seen that, it is a banger. Go check out L.A. Confidential.
Yeah, that's a good flick. I don't love it, but it's good. I always think, when I think of her, I think of 8 Mile. She's Eminem's mom in 8 Mile.
Oh, well, that makes sense. The guy that made L.A. Confidential also made 8 Mile.
Oh, look at that.
She was also in a kind of a smaller budget movie with Jeff Bridges called The Door in the Floor in the early 2000s, which is very good. Because I think Kim Basinger kind of had the rap of just being a pretty face throughout the 80s and 90s, but then she kind of she spread her wings and flew. So
my mind puts her and Michelle Pfeiffer in the same folder. Like,
yep.
Oh, here's a pretty blonde lady from the 90s. Like, I could easily envision Kim Basinger as Batman or as Catwoman.
Yeah. Well, what does she play? Is she the love interest of Michael Keaton,
Bruce Wayne,
in the first? Yeah, in the first Batman movie. Yeah. So she did stick her fingers into the Batman pie.
Gross.
That's the way to describe that. Just a thumb gently up Tim Burton's ass. You're hired.
Oof.
So we got Homer doing Homer shit to Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger, and just being an oaf. But for some reason, they decide to keep him around so he can kind of do menial tasks.
Yeah, he's like their secret assistant because they don't want anyone to know they're there. Yep.
And for some reason, Ron Howard stops by. He's in the neighborhood. He has a place. And basically, they're tolerating him. And the whole thing is, hey, just don't let anyone know we're here. And then Homer is in the bar, and they're talking about things and about secrets and gossip and stuff like this. And he can't help it anymore, and he spills the beans. So they end up, the town folks flood the gates of the Basinger Baldwin home.
Mob up quick.
Yep. This is like a loving mob, but a mob nonetheless. They love their celebrities. And this whole time, Homer's also kind of been pitching a bunch of horseshit screenplay ideas, too. Which, there's some good gags there with that. Yeah. And from there, there's a betrayal, and they kick Homer out. And Homer, of course, kind of because he's a shithead, he's salty about it, even though he's the one that messed things up. He's got a bunch of their shit, so he has a Winnebago full of celebrity memorabilia.
The mobile museum of their stuff.
So he charges money for the townsfolk to come see it. And at the same time, Alec and Kim are kind of like, I kind of miss him. We were a little hard on him. So they're going to go try to, mend those fences. And as they leave, I believe they're driving. Are they in a Humvee, kind of when that was beginning to be all the rage?
Back when that was cool to have an H1 Humvee.
Yep.
Around, I think Schwarzenegger started that.
Yep, totally. That was, yeah. He might have had one even before they were released for like general purchase, yeah.
Yeah.
And they see him, well, he's kind of mocking Kim with like one of her bikinis or something like I'm Kim Basinger.
Yeah.
And then it's on. Now we got an old-fashioned Simpsons car chase. And there's like a lot of jokes about celebrities, which is like, I don't know, they just seem tired, kind of like.
Maybe they weren't at the time.
Yeah, maybe. And then it's like trying to jump in and try to get in. And then the one thing I didn't get a kick out of was finally Ron Howard has to try to jump from the Humvee to the Winnebago, and he misses. And they're like, you killed Ron Howard, because he does hit the highway very hard.
just goes tumbling.
Yeah.
Ron Howard is the butt of a lot of jokes in this episode.
Yeah. And he seems to be, and he's doing his own voice, so he must be pretty good natured about it.
Yeah, must be.
He seems like he has a pretty good sense of humor.
He seems like a regular person.
Yep, which is interesting for a guy who has spent pretty much every living moment that he can think of in the entertainment business, because he was like 5 when he got hired to be on the Andy Griffith Show, you know? And a guy that, you know, has he made many like generation defining movies? Maybe he has. I'm just not thinking of them, but he just makes, for the most part, very good movies.
He's one of those people who you obviously you know who he is, but boy, do I have a hard time thinking of anything he's made outside of A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys too that like his type of movie is less and less are getting made, because he doesn't do tiny indies. He likes to do like, he does like kind of the mid-budget movie. He doesn't do low, but he doesn't do, you know, Bad Boys 3. He doesn't do giant action movies, but his movies ain't cheap. He wants a lot of talent and stuff, but they're not based off comics. They're not remakes. They're not, so, yeah.
I suppose, like, is Apollo 13 the biggest Ron Howard movie? Probably.
God, that's up there. Yeah, A Beautiful Mind would be up there. Oh man, yeah. You look though, like he rarely strikes out.
Yeah, like, I feel like probably what is actually his biggest thing is Arrested Development. If you look at just like, I don't know, culturally.
Mm-hmm. He made a movie I really enjoyed called In the Heart of the Sea, which. It wasn't a big hit, but yeah. And that's the thing. You look at these, even the movies he's been making lately, they're not small budget movies, but it's like, man, eventually he's going to need a big hit to be able to keep making these movies, you know? Like, just look. Well, he did that Solo movie, that like Han Solo. He's listed as the director of that. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that either.
He did the Da Vinci Code. I don't think that's supposed to be all that good, but I'm sure it made $1 billion. So
I didn't care for it, but I remember it being huge. So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking at his credits, and it's like, I mean, there's a lot of movies I've heard of, but none that I will proclaim any amount of love for.
Yeah, but nothing bad though. Like he's like a good number 2 hitter in a lineup. Like,
yep.
He's not, you know, like he's not going to be on a Wheaties box, but he's going to be gainfully employed for a 18-year major league career.
Yeah, he's a solid A- student.
Yeah, I've heard that Rush movie that he made was supposed to be good. I think it's based off of like an old like the 70s Formula One car racing movie. It's supposed to be very good.
I gotcha.
Yeah. I'm looking at the reviews. Yeah, it's the kind of movie, if it came out in 1994, it would have made $1 billion. But like, that's just, people don't see movies like that like they used to, you know?
Yeah, that kind of like huge budget but mellow movie
aimed at adults. Yeah, they just don't make them. Yeah, which is a shame, but it's our fault for not going to them, America. How's that for biting political takes? Yeah. So I think after the accident, we cut to Ron Howard's hospital bed where he is in very, very tough shape, but he's alive. He's going to make it. And then it just kind of comes out that they end up going to court, and Homer has to stay 500 miles away from any celebrity, which I thought was a nice.
That's his restraining order, 500 miles.
Yeah, I don't know about you, man, but absolutely forgettable episode.
Yeah, it was fine. I don't know. I like some of the Hollywood jokes, like the one of Basinger's polishing her Oscar, and Alec Baldwin has to be like, would you give it a rest with that thing? You're going to take the finish off. And she's just like, well, when you get one, you can clean it however you want. Yeah. Like, I like that kind of snippy shit. I really liked, there's a throwaway joke when Homer has his RV museum, where he's like, kind of showing everybody around, here's Kim Basinger's bikini, whatever. And then he's like, he picks up a can of RC Cola, and he's just like, and while you and I can't struggle to pay our bills, they're drinking Royal Crown Cola, like as if RC Cola was some hoity-toity thing. as if RC Cola was Homer's let them eat cake.
Yeah.
Oh,
RC,
God. I got a good kick out
RC
of that.
Cola fits in a weird, like, kind of like its own airspace because it's not like a trash store brand. It's not like the Great Value Cola.
Yeah, it's
But
not
like,
Shasta.
Yeah. Like, I do remember it seeming to be a bigger thing when I lived in Tennessee. Like, a lot of restaurants would have RC Cola, I think, to avoid having to pay for, like,
Coke or
Coke
Pepsi.
products. Yeah.
I don't... Like, I feel like I've probably only had RC Cola a handful of times in my life. I didn't know if it was a regional thing or if it's just a budget pop that you couldn't get, because I don't, living in North Dakota, I don't think we could go buy an RC Cola today, could we?
I think some gas stations would have it. But yeah, it was one of those. It would be like seeing Faygo in a gas station, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like if it's in a gas station out here, it's on that shelf with like Squirt and Welch's grape soda, like kind of the also ran of sodas that are in the gas stations.
RC did have a slight claim to fame in the early mid-aughts because when the Atkins diet was all the rage, they steered people towards Diet Right, which is RC's Diet Cola, because they use like a different kind of fake poison sugar chemical thing. Dr. Atkins, I guess, thought that was a better poison if you had to drink any of the poisons.
That I didn't know. Apparently product placement works because I saw this episode and went, man, I could go for an RC Cola, not knowing what that means. Like, it's not like I'm remembering a taste that I miss. It's just like, oh yeah, I wonder if, so odds are the next time I find one, I'll buy it just because of the fucking Simpsons.
Yeah.
Episode 6 of season 10 is Doin' in the Wind. Everyone is at the nuclear power plant trying to open Mr. Burns' pickle jar, and no one is able to do it. Burns decides that we need to get some new blood in here because look how weak and pathetic our current employees are. And so he makes a recruitment film to attract, fresh college graduates to the exciting world of nuclear power. Homer's in the recruitment film and decides he needs to join the Screen Actors Guild, and he's filling out the SAG forms, but doesn't know what his middle name is.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to not know in your late 30s, but because it's always, we've seen Homer J. Simpson. We've seen the initial several times, but has no idea what it stands for.
Oh, and they do a good job too of planting that seed for many seasons. So I bet if you were a Simpsons, like you were into it, this really caught your attention. Like, oh shit, yeah, we don't know what the J stands for.
We're gonna address this thing, yeah. Which makes me wonder how that even comes up in the writing room. Does someone literally just go, "What's the J stand for?" and no one knows, so they decide to write an episode about it?
I wonder, yeah. It's like, we got to look back. Has this ever been addressed? No? Well, fuck it. I guess we got our next episode figured out.
Yeah, well, we got one there. It's the beginning of the year when they're just coming up with concepts for episodes. Well, there's one. Abe and Homer are going to go off to search for his middle name because Abe doesn't know it either because Abe, not the best of dads. As they're getting ready to hop in the car, Abe is excited about it and is like, and on the way we'll have plenty of time for a father-son chat. And Homer says, great, I'll go shoot myself for bringing this up. Just real jauntily like, nope, I'd rather be dead. But Abe has an idea of where to go. They go to the hippie commune where Homer's mom had originally run away to when she left Abe. I had forgotten all about Homer's mom.
We really get a flashback. It's been several seasons since that was brought up.
Like, we had a whole episode dedicated to her, and I think it's been mentioned a time or two since then, but I had totally forgotten that, like, oh yeah, she completely bailed on Abe and Homer and went and joined a hippie commune.
Yeah.
So we show up there, and the delightful old hippies, played by George Carlin and Martin Mull, are there playing hacky sack. God, it's good to hear George Carlin's voice.
Yeah, he's got a very soothing voice. Like, he was great as Mr. Conductor on in Shining Time Station. Like,
yeah,
like
despite his tank engine.
Yeah, he's got a very nice voice.
Yeah, very, very good voice. And just like he's one of the first comedians I latched onto. So as soon as that hippie talked, I was like, man, just like a warm blanket.
There
just
it
like,
is.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Which I enjoy. But you know what I don't enjoy is anything. I have no warmth or nostalgia for anything hippie related. I just, even as a teenager, I was just like, this is so lame. Like, I don't know what it was.
It's never, I don't know. I think as I get older, I become more
I could see
accepting
that.
of the like whatever, man, kind of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like if I were born fucking, God, I have to do the math, 70 years ago, that I might have been one of those people.
Yeah.
So they're out there. They are playing hacky sack like you do. I don't think I have ever fucking played hacky sack. That never got to us.
I've attempted that a handful of. I used to have a buddy who lived in an apartment that was literally, they were destroying inch by inch. They would play hacky sack in their apartment. So every inch of sheetrock had a hole in it. Like, it was just, you could almost see through the studs into the neighbor's apartment. Like, I always wanted to know what that final walkthrough was like. I think just neither of them showed up, and they just waited to get a bill in the mail.
Yeah, you're certainly not getting a deposit back. You got to wait for a bill.
Yeah.
Turns out Abe had dragged young Homer away from the hippie life. We see a mural painted on the side of the shed that Homer's mom had painted of young Bart. We get a flashback to like toddler Bart at Woodstock, which you have to just not think too much about the years or Homer's age doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like toddler Homer at Woodstock and Abe dragging him away. So this is the life that Homer could have had, but didn't because Abe wouldn't let him. So he goes to the mural and sees that the J in Homer J. Simpson stands for J, J-A-Y, which I thought was a very good joke. Homer decides that he's going to embrace this life that he was robbed of and is going to be a full-on hippie. And I like that one of the things that like part of the hippie Homer look is that his 3 hairs on his head now
grow
each
out
have a curl at the end.
Yeah.
Oh God, I thought that was a fun little detail.
Yep.
Homer living that filthy hippie life with his black-bottomed feet and his poncho with no shirt on underneath it. Marge, not into it. Not even a little bit.
She has a great line. I do not appreciate being called a narc. That cracked me up.
I like seeing Homer with the sofa out on the front lawn just lounging nude and Maud Flanders being fucking scarred by this.
Yeah. There's a great scene too where it's like they show hippie culture through the eyes of like modern or like TV of the 60s, and it was like a Bob Hope sketch and fucking Phyllis Diller's A Flower Child. It's like it's just a shame like that. For the last 40 years of his career, Bob Hope was just considered to be fucking, passe. It's like fucking Bob Hope in his prime was a straight killer. Like, you watch any of his old shit from like the 40s and 50s, like when he was doing those buddy comedies with Bing Crosby, it's like that fucking dude was good. But yeah, I only can think of elderly Bob Hope on like a USO special where it's all fucking jokes that were dated during the Truman administration.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't think I've ever seen anything Bob Hope has done. So he's this huge like comedy blind spot for me.
I'm old enough that, when I was a little kid, they'd march him out once a year. He was well into his 80s, if not 90s, and he'd tell a few jokes and like trot him off to his handlers. And
Yeah, he's just one of those guys I never like followed through on. Like, I know his name, I've seen him parodied a million times long before The Simpsons, or long before my watching of The Simpsons. But like, yeah, I'm not like adverse to old comedy. Like, I to this day think that none of us should ever do anything comedically, because Who's on First is the funniest fucking thing ever written, and we could have just stopped being funny then. But like, I'm also into like Johnny Carson and the Smothers Brothers and Don Rickles and shit. So like, I'm not adverse to old comedy, but I somehow just missed Bob Hope altogether.
Yeah. And Bob Hope is real old, because you think like when the Smother Brothers were on TV, Bob Hope was like 60 then.
He was on his way down. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd be well into his 100s if he was alive right now. Like, I think he maybe lived to be 100. He's been dead for, I don't know, 15, 20 years now.
Yeah. It's been a long time now. Homer naked on the front lawn. Maude is freaking out, and Homer hops up and says, "The human wang is a beautiful thing," which I enjoyed. Also enjoyed his use of wang and not a penis slang that you hear anymore.
Yeah. I like when you get the ones that don't get used often when you hear them out loud. Like, hey, good. Wang deserves its moment in the sun.
It does. Like, you hear dick or cock or even a crank every so often, but a good wang appearance is like, there we go.
And I do enjoy crank too. Hearing crank said aloud always gets a laugh out of it.
Yeah, I think crank and hog are right up at the top of my dick slangs.
Yeah, in a Family Guy episode where Peter is talking about a scene in the movie Porky's, like when she pulls that guy's crank through that peephole, like, when he says crank, it's the hardest I've ever laughed at an episode of Family Guy.
Oh God, yeah, it's a great word.
Yeah,
it's evocative.
Yeah, it is. There you go. That's a great way to describe it.
It turns out the hippies play. I don't know their character names, but Martin Mull and George Carlin.
I think it's Seth and Munchie.
Good hippie names.
Yep.
I'll believe you.
Yeah.
It turns out they're not as full-blooded hippies as they appear to be, because they run a vegetable juice bottling company out on the farm, and Homer is kind of like put off of like, you guys fucking sold out, and it's like, Homer, people gotta pay bills, man. Like, you can't just play frisbee all the time. Homer really takes to frisbee, by the way. I like that becomes his fucking icon of being a hippie, is that fucking frisbee.
Yeah.
So Homer convinces them into doing an old-fashioned hippie freak-out. They take one of the guys' Saturn and paint it up all flower child-like, and then are just driving through the streets freaking out squares, man. And Homer is easily the most into it. I don't think anyone else really is. They return back to the barn to find that the bottling factory has been on the fritz this whole time, just spilling juice and breaking bottles because Homer's frisbee was stuck in the machine. And they're, of course, completely pissed because, like, they got this huge order that they have to fill, and now all the juice is gone and all the bottles are broken. They kind of throw Homer out of the barn. He decides he's going to make it right by sneaking into the facility there and making the juice at night, and he peeks into the house, and I think it's weird that the two hippies sleep in the same room on twin beds.
Yeah. No, that is a good point. I don't think I picked up on that. Yeah.
Like, he peeks in and is just like, sleep easy, gentle hippies, I'll make this right. And they're sharing a bedroom in twin beds. Apparently the juice game doesn't pay that well, but you got a whole house there.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need to hear somebody else breathe. It's the only way you can sleep.
One thing we get in this episode, too, is a reminder, man, White Rabbit, still a banger. 50-odd years
White
past.
Rabbit is a fucking great tune.
God, that's a good song. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always liked that song. There's a very good cover of that song on the Sucker Punch soundtrack.
Oh, man. That's a movie I had forgotten about.
As have I, and thankfully, because that movie is awful.
Yeah.
But it's one of those movies that is a terrible movie with a banger soundtrack.
Yeah, which that happens, darn right.
Which is a fun little microculture. Like Triple X is a dog shit movie with a awesome soundtrack.
Interesting, yeah.
Batman and Robin is a piece of shit with a great soundtrack. There's a lot of those.
Or like, I don't know about Judgment Night the movie, but I know it was forgettable. But that movie has, a soundtrack that's lived on for, going on 30 years since then, like.
I've never seen that movie. I've probably listened to that whole soundtrack 100 times.
Yeah, man, I love that. I think it's a Teenage Fan Club and De La Soul have a song on that I love.
Mm-hmm. I like the Faith No More track on there. I'll listen to anything Mike Patton does, so.
Go check it out, folks. I'm sure it's on the Spotify.
Oh, it is for sure. Cypress Hill does some great work on that soundtrack.
I like that. Their song too. Or Helmet and House of Pain, Just Another Victim. That's another song I like.
It's a great song.
This is just us talking about what songs we like from a movie soundtrack from 1992 now. Tune in next week as we discuss Crow, City of Angels soundtrack.
Ooh. So Homer's going to make it right by filling their juice order while they're asleep. He picks all their vegetables, and we see him running everything through the juicer, and they come out, and they're confused that Homer has, filled the order and delivered it. It's already out on the streets. They're like, well, there wasn't enough vegetables to even fill that order. What did you do? And he points to a garden with a camouflage tarp over the top of it, and is just like, well, I used that field and filled everything there. And I like that there's a weird, I assume that it's the fact that you wouldn't put this on TV. No one says what the drug is. It's just assumed,
You may be mistaken. I think they mentioned that it's peyote.
What's
Am I wrong?
Name? Wiggum does later.
Oh,
but in this scene, it felt like it was just innuendo, nudge, nudge, you know what we're talking about, so we don't have to say it.
Yeah.
Which led me to believe that it was weed until it shows all of the townsfolk tripping balls to White Rabbit.
I'm with you. Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I was like, wait, no, weed doesn't do that.
Yeah. Or these guys are growing some fucking dynamite hack. These people are on the moon right now.
But then I also didn't know that peyote I don't know how peyote grows. So I don't think I knew that, you would have a peyote garden. Peyote's one of those things I just know the drug and not the origin at all. It could be a root vegetable for all I know.
Yeah, same here. I have no clue what it actually looks like.
Is it a tree nut? Is it an almond? I have no fucking idea.
I think it's from the Southwest, so it must be a hardy plant to grow in those kind of conditions.
Is it a cactus? Is it a mushroom?
I know it's often drank, and you will vomit hard. It is not good for your insides.
Yeah, that's what I've always heard. That it is.
Yeah, you really gotta want it because you're gonna be sicker than shit.
I've heard that the trip is well worth the vomiting, but that yes, there is some unpleasantness involved. I've never had the urge or the desire to head down a hallucinogenics rabbit hole.
Same here. And I have a lot of friends that is something that, especially when they were younger, it just never captured my imagination. I don't know what it is.
No, I barely have a hold on my mind's leash as it is. I don't need I don't need something that's going to let it run.
We're just a couple of Okies from Muskogee.
A couple of squares.
Yep. Shaking our fist at the hippies.
So the whole town is having a peyote drug trip. There's some pretty good visuals, as we mentioned during the Johnny Cash, tripping balls in the desert episode. I do love a lot of the hallucinogenic art that comes out of that shit, like all of the. I always think of the Beavis and Butthead Do America drug trip during the Rob Zombie song.
Yeah.
I do love that art style, so there's some good visuals here. Now the cops are at the barn and in full riot gear. We don't see riot gear Springfield PD very often.
I have a sad feeling it's going to be more common after 9/11 because it's more common in real life.
Yeah. And man, there's just something about seeing Chief Wiggum in riot gear that just hits too close. Just like, this is too real now that we've seen enough of it.
Yeah.
But the cops are at the barn and Homer is pleading the hippies' case and grabs flowers and does is it Kent State, sticking the flower in the gun barrel?
Yeah, I'm not sure where that iconic picture's taken from, but yeah, totally. One of those, yeah.
Yeah, but, sliding flower stems into all these gun barrels. And then, we kind of just smash cut to Homer in the hospital with a flower embedded in his skull because the cops went ahead and shot.
Yep.
And they wrap it up. That's just the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's one of those, yeah, oh, we're running out of time. Okay, can we trim it? What do I look like, a gardener?
Yeah, and no real closure on what became of the hippies or anything, but we do know that the police shot Homer in the face.
Yeah. Good. Well, talk about showing us what's to come.
Yeah.
They're not going to get nicer.
You've read enough of the Simpsons Predict the Future articles on BuzzFeed. Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed that one, but I like that, the peyote trip out art and Martin Mull and George Carlin are delightful. Those, I was fine with that one. That was a good episode.
Yeah, I think I was probably slightly a little less than you on that. I was about the same as I was on the previous episode, if that makes sense.
It was one of those, not a lot of laughs, but I was smiling through it.
You were engaged, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sitting with my arms crossed.
Yeah.
Furrowed brow.
Yeah.
So I think at the television.
I was a little keener on our next episode. That'll be episode 7. It'll be Lisa Gets an A. I was into this one a little bit more. I don't know what it is, maybe because it's Lisa centric, but so it starts with Lisa is sick from school. She's legit sick, and to help her pass the time, Marge brings in one of Bart's video game consoles, which crazy now that we're at a point in The Simpsons that they're playing a PlayStation. I'm assuming that's what that was supposed to be.
Yeah, I assume so too, because the game is Dash Dingo, which has a real Crash Bandicoot look, and that was a PlayStation 1 game. So
there you go. I was never a PS1 guy. Did Dash Bandicoot ever get any legs, or did it? It always kind of felt like that was their attempt to get a Sonic or a Mario type character.
Yep, that was their. We need a platformer mascot for this new console, and that was their attempt at it. I didn't play it at the time, but I've played Crash games and don't really care for them. I don't think 3D platforming holds up all that well at all in even today, and PS1 graphics are hard to go back to. But
interesting, yeah.
But so are N64, all of that first generation of 3D games all look like shit now. So
I think the key to making games like that work in modern games, you got to do what the Wii did with Super Mario Brothers Wii. You don't try and make it 3D. You just make the best damn side scroller you can. Yeah,
I mean, those games are good. And Nintendo is pretty good at it. The Mario Galaxy games on the Wii are good, and those are 3D platformers. Mario 3D 3D World is good. Odyssey is good. So you can do it. It's just not always my favorite thing. But Crash Bandicoot did pick up or did catch on. There's a new Crash Bandicoot game on PS5. So
interesting.
They did keep it going, but I think
never was cultural phenomenon at the level that Sonic and Mario were.
Exactly. I don't think it's anyone's favorite. I think it's third of those three, you know?
Yeah. Oh, God, did the Xbox franchise ever try to get something like that, I wonder?
No, I think Xbox is like
Came
Xbox
late enough
is
to the game.
Yeah, and like those games were passé by the time that thing came out. That's why like Xbox's mascot is fucking Master Chief, you know?
Yep, exactly. They were
because we'd gotten
there were enough teenage and adult. Like they didn't need to go after kids because there's by now we'd had a whole generation of people growing up with video games, so you could just cater to them.
Yeah, you could cater to the college kids. You didn't need to appeal to the 8-year-olds who needed a cartoon animal platformer.
Yeah, or a delightful plumber. So Lisa is really into this video game to the point where she is really stepping out and faking being sick and lying to Marge. And Marge finally kind of figures it out and just drops Lisa right off at the school. And we get a little Ralphie shows up and even drops off the homework for Lisa. So Lisa has no excuse. Like she's gaming hard. We've all been there. You know, sometimes you gotta beat that level.
We've all put off homework or other adult tasks to play video games.
Damn right. I haven't in a minute, but I used to. Sometimes you get in deep. I used to love that feeling on old platform games where you'd just be hitting your head against the wall and you'd finally break through that difficult level. And you'd have some kind of weird video game karma built up where you'd be able to beat the next few levels after that. Like,
yeah, you could get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took a lot of time out of my college studying to play Halo 1 a whole bunch. We were very cool. We had like network routers because we didn't have like the Xbox didn't have, you know, Wi-Fi or anything, and we didn't have interconnected, you know, landlines in our dorm rooms. So we just ran fucking Ethernet cable up and down the halls into a router so we all could play fucking Halo till the sun came up.
Which I'm sure the co-eds were intrigued. What are those hunks up to?
Yeah. Yeah. Always been cool. Never gonna stop.
It just comes naturally to some of us. I guess we're lucky.
Yeah.
On that uplifting note, Lisa's now at school and is finding out that there is a test on the book they were supposed to read, The Wind in the Willows, which I remember that as a kid. I knew it involved a frog. That's all I could remember, too. So, just like Lisa, I would not have done well on this test.
Yeah, I recognized the art on the cover, but I don't know that I've ever read that book.
Here. And Lisa panics and goes to use the restroom, and Bart is out there just milling around because he has built a lifelike dummy that sits in his place in class.
Yep.
And,
built himself he's Ferris Buellering, just built himself a fake that sits there.
And Bart introduces Lisa to the world of cheating, which is ran by Nelson, who has an office in the boys' room in one of the stalls where he has copies of all the upcoming tests. And Lisa, she prides herself on her GPA, and she's worried about her college, viability and all that stuff. So she does what she knows she shouldn't. She takes the answers and goes and aces the test. Did you ever cheat in high school much, Marlin?
No, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I was smarter than most where I came from. So, I'd have been the one
helping others cheat.
Exactly. But even then, I wasn't into that because I was also self-righteous. So, I was not. I never needed anyone's help in my studies in my youth. I used to be smart, and something happened somewhere along the way, and I don't know what the culprit was. But
see, there were kids that would occasionally get busted cheating, but I was such a bad student. The idea of taking the effort or making the risk of cheating was just no. I'll just get an F. I'll just fail
take the L.
I don't care enough. I do remember one time when I was some basic, intro college course, like a Western civilization history type class, I noticed all the kids around me were glancing at their pens and pencils. And then I finally noticed someone had gotten the answers and photocopied tiny little, like a list of all the answers, so small that people had wrapped them around their pens so they could just twist their pen and look for the number of the question and find the answer.
Oh, look at that. There's
Yeah,
a
that was
certain amount of certain amount of ingenuity,
Yeah.
to cheating that I kind of respected from a distance of like,
Yeah,
"Hey, you put a lot of work into that. You could have just studied, but you put a lot of work
that's the
into
thing.
this."
Like, I think I could have just studied and maybe even put in less work.
Yeah, it might have been easier to just learn.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was never a cheater either. We had different reasons for it. You didn't need to. I didn't care to. Yours was academic success. Mine was pure apathy.
I really like Nelson with his bathroom office with when he takes the lid off the toilet tank and it's all hanging folders in there that he's flipping through because he's got answer sheets for everybody. Holy shit, that was fun.
Or later in the episode when he asked Lisa about wanting another quiz, and it was the denominators are free, but the numerators are extra or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, "Can I add you to my Rolodex?" It's just a roll of toilet paper with names written on it.
Yeah, the good Nelson shit in this episode.
A Rolodex. It doesn't get much more 20th century than a Rolodex.
Oof, yeah.
My grandma always had one by the landline that she'd flip through if she's looking for numbers.
Unreal. Yeah.
So Lisa not only gets an A+, she gets an A++, and it like what you don't want to have happen when you cheat too well, and now she's like the shining light of the school to the point that she raised the school's grade point average enough for them to get a basic assistance grant, which was a great, I loved. Yep. So she gets called in. Principal Skinner is so proud of how she did, and she reveals that, hey, I cheated, and he's like, hey, let's just keep this between you and I. Which,
yep, because he's got that grant money that he has already started spending.
Yeah. And I'll go over the top. I'm going to go to Chalmers, and Chalmers is just like Skinner. He does not care how those grades were obtained. He just wants that sweet, sweet money.
And that scoreboard. He's not about to send the scoreboard back.
Yeah. And I said already, like, this episode, it was fine. I enjoyed it. The thing I think I enjoyed most was the swerve coming up where they have that big presentation. I do like the gag that they make it seem like the state comptroller is like a celebrity.
Yep, he's got a sash, like a Miss USA sash.
The giant check, and they're introducing, and then like Lisa gets up on the stage, and she lets them know, hey, this isn't right. You know, the whole community's there in the crowd watching, and said, we can't take this because I cheated, this and that. And then like the comptroller's like, hey, there's something to be said about honesty, and like they put her on like the family shoulders in celebration, and they're all cheering as she leaves, and they're leaving the building in jubilation. And then Bart shuts the door, puts a broom handle through the door handles. Okay, Lisa's gone.
Yep.
The comptroller's actually Otto in a mask.
Yep, and it was all a ruse because, and I think it's Skinner even is like, sweet predictable Lisa, and then okay, now we got to get ready for the real comptroller to come in. And he even calls him that while he's like, hey, everyone, put your hands together for the real The guy turned like, real? The guy's like,
and,
what?
Chalmers like, idiot.
Yeah, I love that they set up this huge elaborate thing because they know Lisa. They know that she's going to spill the beans. Yeah. And then, so they just set it up beforehand and then still get the money from the actual comptroller.
Yeah, so I enjoyed even if the jokes weren't there, just the premise I enjoyed. And the B story in this episode is Homer is he's appalled by the high prices of lobster. So he thinks I'll buy a little one, raise it up, and pay $8, end up getting $80 worth of lobster meat. But
this entire bee story was amazing. I loved this bee story of Homer and his lobster.
Pinchy. I love Pinchy for the first, right off the bat. I love that name. I know goddamn big that lobster gets. And how much he babies it to the point it's like scared of the beach. They try to bring it back to the beach.
Just him holding the lobster like you hold a baby with its belly up. You, Mr. Pinchy. Holy shit. And I love that Marge is gung-ho about cooking the fucking on board. Lobster.
Yep. She is. That is
he
food.
Can't do it. Yep. He can't do it.
You a lobster man? You enjoy lobster?
Yeah, I like lobster. It's not something that I get a craving for very often, but on occasion I'll be like, man, I could go for some fucking lobster. I think if you put a gun to my head and made me choose, it would be number 3 on the seafood hierarchy of shrimp being number 1 and then crab legs and then lobster.
Interesting, yeah.
But I do really like it.
Yeah, I feel the way with lobster and crab. There's like a barrier of entry to learning how to eat it properly. Like I need to like sit down in a calm environment and learn how to properly crack crab legs and how to properly gut out a lobster. I always feel like I'm not doing it right and I'm making an ass of myself. But yeah, I do. I'm a crustacean man.
You're at the table just watching what everyone else is doing, trying to...
And I remember being that way with sushi right away, too. It's like there's a little bit of a barrier of entry there, too. It's like... But now sushi is one of my favorite things to eat.
I feel like the sushi barrier of entry is... It starts with what do I even order? Because you don't know what ingredients you're into yet.
Yeah, good point. I used to just order the platters just so I could figure out what of these do I like.
Yeah, like, I do like this, I don't like that, and you eventually learn, like... I know that I like eel and whitefish and don't really care for redfish, but
interesting.
That's something you learn ordering sushi enough times.
So out of your basic sushi staples, what fish do you lean towards?
It's always yellowtail, because that, especially here, seems to be the only whitefish that any sushi joint is bound to have.
Yeah, when it comes to the plain menu, like let's say, you just, okay, here's some basic roll choices. I often lean yellowtail, and I just like a plain old salmon. I'm a salmon guy. I like salmon.
Yeah, I'm not into salmon. I can handle a tuna just because.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Like by the time it's in the sushi roll, it's usually fairly hidden under rice and sauces and whatever other accoutrement is on there.
It would be easier. I'm trying to think of which ones I don't care for. There aren't a lot. There's a couple. I'm trying to think of one of the. There's one of the basic ones. I'm kind of take it or leave it. I'm just a sushi fan. I like raw fish. That's my thing.
I'll eat nearly any sushi you put in front of me, but
some of like the roll, like the fish eggs ones, I find a lot of them kind of bland. Like I'm just not a big. Because you usually get a couple of those on the if you ordered a platter of some kind.
Yeah, I've never had one that roe is like super prominent in. It's usually like and we threw some of this on top, and that's fine. Yep. But for the most part, outside of most red fish, I will eat any manner of sushi you put in front of me.
God, now I want to eat some sushi.
Yep, we fucked up.
Troublesome food boners. Lurking, waiting for a chance to strike.
That's fifth wave ska. It's troublesome food boners.
Yeah. It's a split 7-inch between Less Than Jake and Goldfinger.
All right, we're going to wrap it up with Superman, and then Troublesome Food Boners is up next.
Pinchy has left claw tracks through the kitchen, which Marge has had it up to fucking here with Pinchy shenanigans. So Homer prepares a nice hot bath for Pinchy, which I don't know if you're not a lobster aficionado. That is how you fucking cook a lobster. It's with a nice hot bath. So the episode ends with a blubbering Homer eating his pet. Pinchy would have wanted it this way.
There's something troublesome of Homer just crying, eating his pet.
Yeah. When he cracks it in half and like sucks out the brains.
Yeah.
Like.
All while just sobbing.
I like
his
blubbering
lobster.
Homer. Yeah, we've had a couple blubbering Homers over the seasons here.
That was. I really liked the B. I probably liked the B story more than the A story in this episode.
I think that would be my favorite of this batch so far.
It was very good. I like that one a lot. There's a couple real good jokes earlier, like. I really like, again, a blink and you miss it joke. We have Gil apparently selling ColecoVision computers to
with
the
the
school.
rusting, the rust proofing.
Yeah, trying to sell them on the undercoating for these Coleco computers.
Yeah, these Colecos will rust clean through. God damn it, Gil! Close the sale.
Close it. You're talking yourself out of it. But in that scene, Ralphie is at the computer and Skitters and Chalmers come up there, and Ralphie goes, "Hi, Super Nintendo Chalmers." I love that he mispronounces superintendent as Super Nintendo. Really,
is that
got
the
a hold
first
of
time
me.
we've seen that? Do you think?
I think like it felt familiar. I think
Yeah,
we've seen that.
that's
joke
a meme
before.
that I've seen a lot of. So I was
Maybe
wondering.
that's it.
Have I only, is that just known to me through through social media? But yeah, just how cheerfully he says it too.
Yeah, so
Hi,
cheerful
Prince.
and so natural. Like it's very obvious that it's not on purpose. But hi, Super Nintendo Chalmers.
Yeah.
Oh, really got a hold of me.
I'm learning.
And the other joke when Skinner is talking about like think of all the things we can do to improve the school with this money when he's kind of trying to sell Lisa on keeping her mouth shut, and he points to the playground and is like, we can get actual tether balls, and they show the tetherball pole just has a cinder block on the end of a rope, and Nelson punches it and immediately clutches his hand in pain, and the block swings over and smashes Milhouse in the face, breaks his glasses. The idea of cinder block tetherball I thought was very funny.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I like the playground looked like an abandoned junkyard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's like a gutted car out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought those two jokes I thought were my biggest laughs of the whole episode.
Yeah.
The last one, it's a dead heat between Lisa Gets an A and this one on my favorite of the batch. Number 8 is Homer Simpson in kidney trouble. I'm not sure why we do the whole intro as the title.
Yeah, good point.
The family's on their way to a I don't know what you would call it, but like a
ghost town tourist trap.
a tourist trap Old West town.
So that seems like something that you might have had growing up. That seems like ghost town country.
No, we didn't. That was just our town.
Yeah, it wasn't ghosty enough. It was more sad ghost town than exciting touristy ghost town.
Exactly.
I guess Medora would be the closest, but that's not even like down the road. Medora would be a little bit of a trip for you.
Yeah, Medora's probably a 3.5 or 4 hour drive, and that isn't. It's not this that's in the episode. You know, it's not like this historic rustic thing. Medora is just like a bustling, loud, colorful fucking town. At least last I went there. So
yeah,
but
never
that's been
been.
a long time.
Yeah,
I was very young. I don't even really remember, other than it was like a turn and burn. We're gonna go and visit it and go home all in one day. And I don't know. I remember reading in the car. That's that's my review of the Medora experience.
all I remember is on the radio and TV ads they discussed the famous pitchfork fondue.
Yeah, which I don't know what that would be.
Is that just meatballs at the end of a pitchfork tines cooked over a flame?
I'm assuming so.
Dunked in ranch, knowing their clientele.
The thing that I remember, because they run those ads all the time, because it's one of North Dakota's very few like tourist destinations. I remember not being enthralled by it at all and thinking it was very stupid, and that being kind of the, how do I put it, kind of the prevailing thought on the tourist trap that is Medora, North Dakota, amongst everyone down there. Because, like, when you live that cowboy shit, like, fake cowboy shit seems like the dumbest thing in the world.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
In much the same way that, like, anytime in my youth you saw, like, rich people equestrian shit where they have like helmets and tall boots hopping over little fences with their horses, thinking that that was as lame as it could be because you're on horses doing real work all the time.
Yeah. I never thought of that. Yeah, like if you were unironically wearing a cowboy hat, cowboy stuff probably doesn't seem that intriguing to you, you know?
Exactly. especially when it's so like dolled up and fake looking, you know, like none of our dads would have ever gone to the Medora musical and been excited about it.
Yeah.
So they're on their way to this western ghost town tourist attraction. The car breaks down right in front of the old folks' home.
Yep.
And Abe is so excited, thinking the family is there to pick him up because it's his birthday. They did not remember or mean to stop. And Homer's like frantically trying to start the car, but it won't start. And then we cut to Grandpa's in the car. We got the car running again, and we couldn't avoid leaving Grandpa. So
making Grandpa ride, bitch, just how disrespectful.
Right? That's
in between the kids. No window for Grandpa.
Have some respect for your elders.
Yeah.
I did like seeing all of this western town shit. Bloodbath Gulch, a town built entirely on prostitution.
Yeah.
Like everything.
All the animatronics, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, all of the tour guide's factoids are all hookers based, which is really funny. And Marge is like displeased with it. She's like, oh, geez. Yes, the animatronics, the animatronic cowboys in the saloon are great. I love that Homer assumes that the bartender is an animatronic as well and is like, hey, robot, get your metal butt over here. And the guy just walks over and is like, first off, I'm not a robot. Secondly, I got this metal butt in Nam.
Yeah. So great. Yeah.
I like the ragtime piano man robot that you put a quarter
in the head. Yeah.
Yep. Like a sliding, like not a slot like a soda machine, but a slide like a laundry machine.
Yeah.
Like kerchunk, and then it plays and the fucking and the burlesque dancers come out. That was fun.
Yeah, and I just love anything like this because it's always just held on by toothpicks and bubble gum. Everything's ready to fall apart.
Yeah.
I was like, how are there not more tragedies at county fairs, like with the equipment they're using? Like,
yeah, places like this just strike me as like it's the same level of grime and non-safety compliance that you also apply to the carnival, except it's stationary.
Yeah.
So they're headed home after their fun day, and Homer won't stop and let Abe go to the bathroom.
Yeah. To the point I got angry. I was like, God damn it. This is like Homer being a shithead to the point I don't like him. Like,
yeah. And like that's what they're doing. They're going so over the top with it to make Homer impossible to root for, which is kind of the theme of this whole episode.
Yeah, totally.
They pass by, like he wants to pee before they leave and he won't let them. And then like, hey, stop at that rest stop and no, oh, there's the world's giant toilet, and just keep going. And eventually it just smash cuts to them in the hospital looking at an x-ray of Abe's exploded kidneys.
Yeah.
Homer,
like, I mean, like literally exploded. Like they're gone. Like there's like destroyed kidney stems or all that's left.
Yep, just the tubes run into them and then nothing. Yeah, like a blown out like the end of a cartoon prank cigar.
Yep.
And they're like, well, Abe is going to need a kidney and the donors list is really long. And Homer just immediately agrees to give Abe a kidney. Just like, yeah, I'll give him a kidney, whatever. And like, you think that that's admirable at first, but it turns out, no, Homer just isn't aware of what
he doesn't know what it entails.
Yep. So he volunteers for it, not knowing anything about what's going on. The guys at the bar are the ones who really drive home, like, no, it's a dangerous surgery, and you're not going to be able to drink as much afterwards, and, like, explain all the way his lives are going to change. And now Homer is distressed at having to give Abe one of his kidneys. Marge agrees to Homer's stipulation that she will blow up the hospital if Homer dies during surgery.
Yeah, which I liked, yeah.
Because it's like the night before, and he's like, promise me one thing. Okay, I promise. Blow up the hospital if I die. And she's taken aback, and then is like, well, I promised, so.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. I love how resigned she is to, like, well, I can't go back on it. We get Homer and Abe laying in the operating room, about to be put under, and they're holding hands, having a father-son moment. And when Dr. Hibbert turns around, Homer is gone and the window's open. Homer just bails, just fucking leaves his old man laying on the other
operating table for a crucial surgery.
Yep. Just bails. Gonna let Abe die.
Even for Homer standards, this is just some foul, cowardly actions.
This is maybe the worst Homer we've ever seen.
Yeah, boy, the bar is high.
Yeah. I like that he gets away on one of those railway hand carts, which I've never seen in real life. That's a thing that's only in cartoons.
Yeah.
He heads down to the docks and flees to the sea in shame. Like, he at least knows what he did is awful, I guess, if you can say one redeeming thing about Homer in this episode. Ends up with the sea captain on the Ship of Lost Souls. And it's just this ragtag group of people who've done awful shit.
There's like a Frenchman playing an accordion, and like a World War I vet, a jilted bride.
Yeah.
Like a gangster type guy. Like, I know he's supposed to be a certain character actor from like the 20s with the way he's talking.
Yeah,
I just can't place it.
I felt like him in particular was a reference I was missing. He's the only one where I'm like, that's supposed to be someone. Mm-hmm. He talks like how Igor from Frankenstein usually talks, which is weird.
I can't picture what I know that guy from, but he's somebody, yeah. It's
revealed that they've all done something awful, and that's why they're on the ship. They're all fleeing some shame, and they kind of, it's mostly done off screen, but we're led to believe they all kind of share their stories of the bad shit they've done. We catch the tail end of the gangsters. And then Homer tells them what he did, and they're all just shocked.
Like sickened, yeah.
Yeah, they're all just clutching pearls at what a piece of shit Homer is. Because he agreed to the kidney transplant and then bailed and left his dad dying on the operating table.
Yeah,
which
so great.
Fair. That's a fair reaction to hearing that. They throw Homer overboard because he's too disgusting even for their ship of awful people. He washes up on shore and kind of pep talks himself and heads back to the hospital, and there's a fun bit of him like approaching the hospital and the automatic doors open, and he chickens out and runs back out a few steps and the doors close, and then he kind of and toughens up and heads back and the doors open, and he whimpers and runs back again. That was a fun bit for a few moments.
Yeah.
He finally, goes for it and runs through the doors, and we're back in the operating room. Him and Abe laying on the tables, ready to do this kidney transplant, and Dr. Hibbert turns around, and Homer's gone, and the window's open again.
Yep. I think he sees a big, scary needle. I think that was enough. Just the big, scary needle.
Yeah, which I'm with him. I fucking hate a needle.
That was my next question. Are you afraid of needles, Marlin? I did not know that about you.
Horrible. Like, I'm also an adult, and I'm just like, just fucking take the needle, So I won't like not get my blood drawn because it has to be a needle. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I don't like it at all. I really hate it a lot.
Yeah, like I think they call it floating veins, or I don't know, probably just fat man-itis, where they really struggle to get. So I mean, every time I get a blood draw, it's the same. They put one of the junior varsity kids on the job. They got to poke me 3 or 4 times. They got to root around with that needle. They don't get nothing. Then they got to bring in the pro, and the pro can usually find something. But yeah, so I'm lucky that I don't dislike needles. Like, Again, I'm not psyched for it. Like,
right.
Yes.
And I actively dread it, but will grit my teeth and close my eyes and look away and get through it. It never fails. Like, I'm also a fat piece of shit, so I think, like, my veins are hard to find as well. But I've learned over the years that you can get me in the back of the hand on the first try, no problem.
Yeah, to the point where I'm like, just try that. I know you want to go for the elbow pit because that's, I don't know, that's like shooting a bank shot 3. It looks cool or something. Like, just take the layup. I'm offering you the layup.
That's exactly where I was going, because every time I have my blood drawn, I'm like, listen, no one can ever find it in the arm. They can always find it in the hand, so let's just go that route. Just do it in the hand, which immediately makes them be like, much like fucking teaching someone how to swim, oh, I'm going to be the one who gets it in the arm. Don't you worry. I turn them all into fucking hot doggers. But then here we are fucking jamming it into my fucking elbow pit and rooting around in there for 20 fucking minutes.
Until you bring your fucking boss in and the boss can do it.
Well, not even then. Usually they just go, well, I guess I'll go in the hand. Like I fucking told you to begin with.
See, usually the OGs could get me in the forearm.
No, I've had the I'm gonna go get my manager and have the veteran come in and put it away, but usually they just go, oh, okay, and do it in the hand is how it usually goes. But it's like, I fucking told you to begin with, but because I told you that no one can do it, now you're gonna be the one.
I one time had them go get this, like the OG, and tiny lady, the size of one of my legs, had to be 70 years old. She walks in, all pleasant as punch, just calmly reaches into the pit of my elbow, and with some kind of 2-fingered Vulcan death grip, paralyzes me in pain. But my arm had goddamn pulsing veins, like, to the point she could have flicked it with a fingernail and they would have exploded blood everywhere. It's like, lady, why are you just doing this? Like,
come in with that business from the get-go.
Yeah, drive-through blood draws.
Yeah, you know the secret. Like, just start with that. But every fucking time I'm like,
we didn't need this whole song and dance that you always put us through. Like,
please just take it out of my hand. But no,
every one of them. That.
No, I'm going to be the one that teaches you how to swim, and then by the end of the day, no, you're fucking not.
I'm an artist. Do not tell me how to practice my art.
Assholes. So dread needles, hate needles, will sit and sweat through the most basic of shots, but have zero problem with tattoos. So I don't.
Fascinating.
Yeah, granted, that's a totally different experience, but a needle nonetheless. So Homer bails out on the kidney transplant again. Fuck this, goes running out the window and is hit by a truck. Well, not quite. There's a truck driven by Hans Moleman. Love a good Hans Moleman appearance. Feel like we haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, we're not getting him like we used to.
Hans Moleman driving a car hauling truck.
Yeah.
Which seems like a lot for Hans Moleman to deal with.
For a man that cannot see over the dash, which is troublesome.
Homer's out in the street and Hans Moleman slams on the brakes and stops just short of hitting Homer, but then the car that is over the cab of the truck flies off the car rack and lands on Homer.
Good visual gag.
Fun gag, yeah. Mm-hmm. Homer comes to in the hospital. He's in all manner of traction and casts up and down. He's all fucked up. And he's sad because he's like, I suppose Dad's gone by now, huh? Because he didn't get that kidney. And then in dances Abe Simpson with his new kidney. We took it while you were out.
And Homer is enraged by this.
He's so pissed. And I love that Abe is not letting that mellow his mood at all. He's dancing. He's got a suit on. Just living it up with his new kidney that they stole out of Homer. And then Homer, like, there's the patented Simpson family moment where they're all hugging Homer in the hospital bed, and they pan down, and he's like grabbing on Bart's kidney, just like, I'll be fine. Like, I got my eye on Bart's. So that was fun.
Yeah, like fondling a kidney. Yeah.
Yeah, just kneading in there with his fingers, just like, that's the one. And there's like, Bart with a shocked look, and then the circle fades down on Bart's face, and that's the end of the episode. So that was a fun one.
Yep, I'd say this batch ended on a high note for me, these last two.
Yeah. Homer, a massive piece of shit in that episode, but there's enough good laughs in that episode.
And I think he gets his comeuppance, which is nice.
Exactly. Like, that's wrestling. You have to see the bad guy get beat.
Yeah, the heel needs to take it in the end.
Yeah, you gotta get your comeuppance. So Homer gets his in the end, and that is it.
We did it.
Another batch in the books.
Oh, darn right. And a little peek behind the curtain of the production of this show. I have heroically been holding a piss bag for 45 minutes now, and I am really channeling my inner Abe Simpson, because boy, oh boy.
Nope, you can't go yet, Nathan. We're not done with the show yet.
Oh, man. Well, I do not have the constitution of Abe Simpson. If it came to it, I would start pissing in one of the many empty coffee cups that surround me.
I'm surprised you don't have an empty Gatorade bottle right there, knowing how you live your life.
If it was gout season, I would.
Gout season. Well, we'll wrap it up so that you can...
not have an accident.
So that you don't wet yourself at your
not
computer
to devalue
desk.
this recliner anymore.
Next week, episodes 9 through 13 of season 10. Let me double check. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yes, 9 to 13 is your homework for next week. You can find us online at barleybasketUSA@gmail.com is the email address, at barleybasketUSA on all of the social medias. So follow us there and do your Simpson homework for next week, and we will see you then.
See everybody.